So good morning to those who have joined us. We should probably have some more people jumping on shortly. This is our second Thirdy on Thursday. My name is Alicia Nollet. I'm the Director of Communications for the Wisconsin Builders Association. While the majority of us are still participating in virtual events and working remotely, we wanted to take this opportunity to launch these new 30-minute webinars that can hopefully provide you some benefits for yourself and your business. So joining us today is Chris Penasa from the Small Business Growth Partners. They are based in the greater Milwaukee area, but he's joining us from Florida. Lucky him. Before Chris begins, I'm going to do a quick 30,000-foot overview of the association for those who may not be familiar, as we do have some non-members joining us today. So at the WBA, we have nearly 4,000 members that are comprised of builders and contractors, along with those who support the building industry, such as interior designers, lenders, insurers, subcontractors, etc. Membership with the WBA is three-part and includes membership with us at the state level, along with membership at one of the 21 locals across the state, depending on where you're located, and the National Association of Home Builders. So with that, I ask that you keep your questions for the Q&A portion that we'll do during the last 5 to 10 minutes. And if you do have a question during that time, I just ask that you either use the chat box or the raise hand feature, and I will unmute you if you do have a question. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Alicia. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is, Alicia said, my name is Chris Penasa, and I'm the CEO of Small Business Growth Partners. And to make this as valuable as possible today, what I was going to do is just take a couple minutes just to kind of explain who we are, so you know who you're speaking with, what we specialize in, and then what I'm going to do is go into this BPA, which is, it stands for Business Plan of Actions, and it's a member benefit through the Wisconsin Builders Association. And then, like Alicia said, once I go through the plan, we'll open this up to questions. So in a nutshell, who we are a private small business coaching and consulting firm. Like Alicia mentioned, we're headquartered in Germantown, Wisconsin, just outside Milwaukee, but we are nationwide, sea to shining sea. And we are not a franchise. The coaches, the executive team that creates our plans, they are not 1099 contractors. They're full-time professional coaches. They're all between about 45 years old and just over 70. Everyone has 20 plus years experience, and we specialize in construction and the trades. That's pretty much construction, trades, and the HVA vertical industries. That's pretty much all we do. So about 75% of the folks that we create plans for, that we work with, are builders and remodelers, and the other, call it 25%, are in the trades. So HVAC, plumbing contractors, electrical contractors, roofing companies, architects, window companies, and the like. That's pretty much 100% of what we do. And then finally, we are completely video conference based, and we create our plans video conference based. And the main reason for that is, and this isn't right or wrong, there just aren't that many really good business coaches in this country. And like I said, it's not right or wrong, it's just kind of reality. And even fewer really understand construction and the trades. So what we did to really get the coaches that we need to create these top line plans and work with our folks, what we did is we created our model similar to Edward Jones, where Jones has their regional offices across the country, but they build their advisor offices around their advisors. We do the same thing. So like I mentioned, we're headquartered in Germantown, Wisconsin. We have regional offices in Spokane, Washington, the Dalles, Oregon, one in Austin, Denver, where I am now in Orlando, Cincinnati, and Atlanta. But we build our coaching offices around our coaches. And that's just part of the reason why we've remained private since we started in Wisconsin in about 2010. So why we've been able to remain private for so many years. Probably why we have almost, I think, 200 straight Google 5-star reviews, which isn't the easiest thing to do because you can't back them out. And just how we get the results we get, because we don't have geographic boundaries on our folks, which also allows us to hire on, and I'm a big zealot on this, integrity first, skill set second, in that order. If someone's not doing this for the right reasons, doesn't mean they're bad folks, but they're not going to join our team. So that's just a little bit of blah, blah on us. So what I'd like to go through now is the member benefit, one of the member benefits you have through us, through the Wisconsin Builders Association. And like I mentioned before, this is called a BPA. And the long definition is business diagnostic and plan of actions, but since it's easier to say, everyone likes to call it business plan of actions. So what this is, look at it as a top to bottom analysis of you, your company, and your team to get you from where you're sitting right now to where you choose the company to be in 1 year, 3 years, and 10 years. Those are the big three, call it time buckets we look at. We do 1, 3, and 10, and we also do 1, 3, and 5. And the reason for that is we have a lot of companies coming to us that are going through succession planning. So getting the second generation up to speed to take over a business. And all of our plans are around 40 to 70 pages long a piece. They're all handmade. And the only reason for that big difference in the length of plans is we do something in our plans called DISC motivator assessments, or a form of psychometric profiling. Now, I'm sure a number of you have heard of DISC before, like Myers-Briggs and the like. And why we blend these into our plans, we do it for a few different reasons. But for those of you who have never heard of DISC, DISC stands for dominant, influential, steady, and calculating. Where DISC tells us who someone is, these motivators tell us why. And these are, for all the plans we do, we add in, you can use up to 10 DISC motivator assessments for your company. And the assessments we use assessments 24/7. They're based out of California, so don't hold that against them. But these plans, and these are included in your HBA member benefits. If you bought one of these off the street, they're about $250 a piece. And we're this company's largest client in the world, so we get discounts to bring it down to $250 a piece. So these are really good. And the reason why we do these in our plans, because we don't do things for pretty pictures and graphs. But the reason why we blend these into our BPAs is, number one, to really get down into your DNA, your team's DNA, to really understand how you all tick, both business and personal. And these are incredibly accurate. Number two, we use them to make sure the right butts are in the right seats. Also, we do it to streamline your plan. Because if a management team is predominantly one personality versus another, the plan's going to be slightly different because it's a different type of personality set implementing the plan. And finally, we use it for candidate selection for ongoing coaching. Since all of our coaches are construction and trade specialists, we're able to match second tier on personality for a primary coach, which is another reason, frankly, we get the results we get. But all of our plans start really high line, call it the 20,000 foot view. And they're broken apart into the different disciplines or tenets of business. Sales and marketing, team and people, processes, financial, and then planning and actions and accountability. And kind of like an upside down pyramid, these start broad, but they focus down to ground level to a 2-page planning system called a vision traction organizer. So we bring your goals down to annual goals, quarterly goals, and then something we call an issues list. And everyone we work with over the last 11 plus years, they all drive their companies off one of these really simple systems, which includes us. I mean, I've used this system for growth partners since about 2010, when it was me, myself, and I, all three of us freezing our buns off in a little office in Germantown. But all we ask from a member during this process is about 5 hours of your time, and we spread this out over about a month. So it takes about a month to create a BPA. And I also like to look at this just to really simplify down a plan. Now, a question I'll always ask is, why do all of you do plans for a home? I mean, you're all very good at your trade. You love what you do. Why do you do them? And since you're muted, I won't expect an answer back, but I get the same answer every single time. It's so we have a clear plan of where we're going. So look at the BPA is the exact same thing, just you are the customer. Because if you don't know where you're going, everything's a guess. But if you know where you're going, and a first hit on a plan, it's not going to be perfect. We're not living in a theory world. So it's not going to be perfect, but you're going to be a heck of a lot clearer than if you don't have a documented plan. Because if you know where you're going, kind of like plans for a home, it's just a back engineering process. And for those of you who are thinking, you know, I'm not sure if this would actually be a fit for my company, even though it's included in your WBA member benefits, there are a handful of questions I like to bring up just to make sure that if you want to take advantage of this, that it'll be a really good fit for you and your company. Now, we've done about, I know we're over 3,000 BPAs that we've done in the 17 states we're in right now over the last 11 plus years. But those that have gotten the most out of a BPA, number one, you're considering some form of succession planning. The next generation coming into the business, you want to get a smooth transition to make sure all the time that you put into your company doesn't go to waste, so that the next generation really understands what they're doing. And for owners of a company, I look at this as almost like an insurance policy to make sure you can back out of a business, and the second generation, no matter how much how sincere they are, how hard of workers the second generation is, so they have a really good plan so the business stays consistent. So succession planning is a big one. Number two, you hit a bit of a growth ceiling, you know, where lack of systems are starting to show in the company, you know, with mistakes, miscommunication, either with your team or your prospects or your customers. Number three, you aren't clear in a strategic direction for your company. Because if you don't have something written down, if you're not crystal clear where you're going, your team has no clue. And that's one of the biggest reasons why someone leaves a business, like an employee, because they don't know where you're going. Next one is you just can't seem to find the right people, or you're having team cohesion issues. You're getting a lot of calls, but they're not turning into sales. Or you're generating great sales, but the profit isn't trickling down at the end of the month, quarter, year. Another big one, you're trying to drive the business forward, but you keep getting pulled back into the day-to-day, kind of acting like a chief firefighter, problem solver. Or one of my personal favorites, upward delegation. Or it seems like you're just working 24/7 in the business versus on it, almost like the business has hijacked your life, or you're living a scene in the movie Groundhog's Day. Because if none of those hit home, if none of those hit home, congratulations, you're doing pretty darn good. But if some of those hit home, you're pretty normal. I mean, it's out of all these years, if someone after rattling off those questions, if they answer they don't have an issue on any one of those, that's probably, I can count those on 2 hands. But if some of these hit home, guaranteed, you're going to get a ton out of this process. So, okay. Well, that's what I had on the BPA. But I mean, because we can open this up to questions a little bit early if you'd like, unless Alicia, unless you had a couple things you wanted to add in.
The only thing that I was going to ask while you were talking was, what do you gave some examples of the types of issues that you help clients with, but what would you say are kind of like the top issues that you see from businesses that you work with?
Okay, well, that's a good question. Well, some people don't have they don't have enough leads coming in. So, and this is one of the biggest ways around that is not trying to be everything to everyone, and to create rhythm and consistency on what you're doing in marketing. And I mean, I could do a full webinar on marketing, but we break marketing down into two pieces: passive marketing and active marketing. But the key is using maximum 3 to 4 strategies to drive in the leads on the front end, and not getting distracted by the bright shiny object and bringing on the new and greatest marketing technique or strategy out there to drive in those leads. The second one I could think of off the top of my head is a poor conversion rate, where you're driving in a bunch of folks, but they're either not good leads for you, they're not good sales qualified leads, definition being they're in your target market, they have the wherewithal to buy, and they're going to work with someone. And one of the best solutions around there is to create a documented sales process, because a sales process is nothing more than a system to collect and disseminate and record information and explain to a prospect how you work, how the relationship goes with you from that first touch to doing a bid. Either they accept it or they don't on their project. Another big one is where an owner is just so busy, they have so much work coming in, but they are just getting pulled in 1,000 different directions. And that's another huge one. And we have a bunch of different ways to deal with that, because you can't just go and hire half a dozen people into your company and just pray that you can pay for them. But it's breaking down clear roles and responsibilities, who's going to do what by when, and setting up cash flow triggers, because you always want to know the next 2 to 3 people that you need to bring on, because you never bring a person on unless you have documented clear roles and responsibilities for them when you first interview them. And it's probably not going to be perfect first run, but you need something that's about 80% of the way there. Another big one's on hiring, not being able to get the right people. And all of our clients use that DISC motivator system to vet the prospects for the employees coming in. And what these do when you use DISC in your hiring process, it over doubles the success rate of hiring the right person. Because here's a good, interesting construction stat in the US, where the success rate in the construction industry of hiring someone off the street and them being successful with a business in 18 months is between 33 and 38%. When you use our versions of assessments in your hiring process, which is more of a deselection process, it kicks that number up to between 70 and 80%. Actually up to 90. And I haven't interviewed someone since about 2010 without having them go through this process with our company first. And I've only had to get rid of 2 people in 11 plus years, which is pretty good. In a past life, I used to own a group of Century Food stores. And that's considered a good week in the grocery business. I wish I would have had these back in the day. But those are probably the biggest ones.
That sounds great. Does anybody else have questions for Chris? Again, you can type them in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute you.
Okay, there's one question in the chat. Let's see. Oh, what is the total cost for this? Oh, oops, sorry, I lost my video feed here. Give me 10 seconds here. I lost my, there we go. Sorry. I'm a little technically challenged sometimes. That's pretty easy. It's included 100% in your WBA member benefits. So it has a hard cost because of the DISC assessments of about $4,200. But in your WBA member benefits, you're allowed to do a BPA once a year. Because since we're private, there's only two groups of folks that we do these plans for. Our clients are allowed to gift 2 of these plans a quarter, so not even 1 a month. And the only others are the members of the home building associations that we work with. And like I mentioned, we started in Wisconsin with the WBA in 2010. And then we got referred into the Indiana Builders Association, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, North and South Carolina, and North Dakota. So,
and I'm not sure the name of the person who submitted the question. The name isn't specified, so I'm not sure if the person who asked this was a member or a non-member, but just a reminder to those, I know that we do have several members joining us, but we do have non-members. So this particular benefit is one that's available strictly for members. So for members, just know that this is included in the benefits that you receive, and for non-members, know that this is something that would be available to you if you choose to join the association.
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, and the only reason we could do this is just because of our sheer size. So, and these plans are really, really good because the folks that create our plans, most business coaching is franchise-based, where an average coach will spend about 10% of their time coaching and about 90% of their time doing the ticky-tack stuff of business. Because if you're the only person in a company, someone's got to do the books, someone's got to do the sales, the marketing, pay the light bill, and also they're usually generalists. Where our coaches, our executive team, that's all they do. And none of our coaches either, they don't get their own clients. So they're professional construction coaches. So like anything else in life, if you spend 100% of your time doing one thing, you're going to get pretty darn good at it. So great question.
For the person who asked, how can I get this process started? I'm assuming if you are a member of WBA, we have a link on our website. If you go to wisbuild.org, and you go to the top of the page, we have a link called, it says members only. And you click on that, go down to member benefits, and you will go to the coaching and consulting link, and that will take you to the information on the small business growth partners. If you are not a member, you can join. Go to our website, again, that's wisbuild.org, go to the join page, and you can join directly from there. Also, I will be sending out a follow-up email after this webinar is done with a link for anyone that wants to refresh any information that they've watched, and also links to the page on our website where you can get the contact information to start this process. So you can either go to our website directly, or you can wait till the email comes out and I will direct you there with a link.
Yes. And to answer your question, Mark, we cover this 100%. Yeah, and this is part of the reason why we don't do this for the general public. So we cover this 100%. We don't pull your dues dollars into this. So like I said, the only reason we could do this is just because of our size. So Any other questions? Yeah. And another easy way to get the process started, you go to our website, www.smallbusinessgrowthpartners.com, all spelled out, or www.sbgpinc.com. And on the toolbar on the top of the landing page, there'll be a button that says Redeem My BPA. And there's a little drop-down menu, and when I mean little, 2. And it'll say either client referral or HBA member. So you go to HBA member, you fill out a very short questionnaire, which will take you about a minute and a half to fill out, answer the questions, hit enter, and then one of our team will reach out to you within 24 hours. The other way to get there.
Any other questions for Chris before I kind of wrap things up? All right, I will kind of give my little ending spiel, and if any other people have questions, feel free to enter them in the box. So thanks again for everyone for joining us. As I said, the recording will be sent out along with some links to get you guys where you need to go if you're interested in this benefit or any of the other benefits we offer. Just a reminder that future webinars next month, we have Michelle from Frankenmuth on their offers specific to the construction industry. In March, we'll have Chris, a different Chris, from Third Coast Advisors, who will talk about their free access to the Living Balance Sheet, which is a financial planning software that tracks and manages someone's entire financial profile. We've also lined up Representative John Jagler to speak with us in April. He is the chair of the Housing Committee here in Wisconsin, and he will talk about different legislation that is slated to impact the building industry. We're also working on confirming Speaker Voss in June. And then to backtrack, in May, we are hoping to have Carrie Thompson. She is the Director of Rural Development at Indiana University, and she's going to be discussing with us the importance of housing developments and their role in a rural rural area's ability to thrive. So if you will be sending out further registration emails on our upcoming webinars, but if you are interested in looking at who we have scheduled, you can go to wisbill.org/WBA-events/30. And again, if there's no other questions, I will be sending a follow-up email shortly. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Well, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
So,
thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Warm up there. Yeah. Thank you very much.